I work with big, strong walls that hold up buildings. That's my job. I'm a structural engineer. It sounds cool when I say it at parties, but people usually find out it mostly means I look at building plans and tell architects, "No, that glass staircase you drew? Someone could fall and get hurt." I check for cracks. I figure out how much weight a beam can hold before it breaks. My name is Kaylin. I'm 32 years old. Most of my life I've been like a big, strong wall for my family. You know, the person who always takes care of everyone. I remember birthdays. I help my dad jumpstart his truck when he forgets to turn the lights off. I co-sign my mom's phone plan because her credit score is too low. I'm the helper. Always there. Reliable. Boring, some might say. Before I continue further, don't forget to subscribe and join the awesome community. Drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from and what you think of the story. Then there's my sister Zefra. She's 25 and she's more like the outside of a building, the fancy, shiny part that hides what's inside. She's loud and flashy. She calls herself a digital creator and a visionary, which really just means she takes lots of pictures of her coffee foam and hopes people clap. My parents, Alaric and Eulalia, are always clapping for her. I learned the difference between us when I was 16. I had spent 2 summers mowing lawns, working hard, saving money for a truck. I had $3,000 hidden in a coffee can in my closet. 2 days before I was going to buy it, I came home and the money was gone. My dad, Alaric, was at the kitchen table. He didn't even look at me. "Don't make a scene, Kaylin," he said. My sister had made it to the regional dance finals, and they needed the money for costumes and fees. I tried to tell him it was for my truck. He looked at me and said, "A truck is something you want. Your sister's talent is an investment. We are a family. We share our money." I never got the truck. I drove my mom's minivan instead. Zephyr quit dance 3 weeks later because she didn't like the teacher. My $3,000 didn't help her win anything. It just paid for 3 weeks of her playing dress-up. That was the lesson. I am the money and help. Zephyr is the fancy prize. That's why my house means so much to me. It's a 1920s craftsman house at the edge of town. When I bought it, the inspector said it needed a lot of work. The roof leaked. The porch sagged. The floors were hidden under old carpets that smelled like decades ago. But the structure was strong. The beams were solid oak. The foundation was good. It just needed someone to care about it, not just the way it looked. I bought the house 2 months ago. I didn't ask my dad for money. I didn't ask my mom to co-sign. I worked overtime and ate cheap ramen for 5 years to save up. When I got the keys, I sat in the empty living room and just breathed. Finally, something I owned was mine. Something Alaric couldn't take to spend on Zefra. Something that belonged to me. I spent every weekend fixing the house. I sanded the floors on my hands and knees until my back hurt. I painted the walls a soft gray. I fixed the porch swing so it wouldn't creak. I wanted it to be perfect. Not just for me. Deep down, I wanted it perfect for them. I wanted my family to come and say, "Good job, son. You made something strong." I wanted to show that even the helper at the big wall is important. Last Monday I sent a message to the family group chat. I included a picture of the new front door. I said the keys were ready. Housewarming barbecue this Saturday at 5 p.m. Violet would come. I was cooking steaks. I watched the little dots on my phone waiting for a reply. Zephyr replied first. Just a sparkly emoji. No words. Then Mom said, "We'll try. It's been a busy week with Zephyr's brand launch." Dad said nothing. I told myself that was okay. Alaric isn't good at texting. He likes showing up in person. That's his way of showing he cares. So I went all out. I went to the butcher, bought 4 thick steaks for $30 each. I bought craft beer for Dad, fancy wine for Zefra. I set the table outside, made it look perfect. I even put out special guest towels in the bathroom. At 4:45 p.m. I lit the grill. The smell of charcoal filled the air. I held a cold beer and looked at my yard, feeling proud. I had built something solid. Something of mine. I checked the time. 4:55 p.m. At 5 o'clock a car came up the driveway. My heart jumped. But it was just Violet. She came with her famous potato salad. She looked at the empty driveway and then at me. "Where is the circus?" she asked, kissing my cheek. "Probably stuck in traffic," I said. We sat on the patio. I poured drinks. The grill was ready. But at 5:15 still no one else. 5:30 still nothing. I texted, "Grill is hot. Where are you?" Nothing. 5:45. The sun was setting. The table was set perfectly for ghosts. Kaylin, Violet said. Put the stakes on just for us. Stop waiting for people who are chasing shiny things. They aren't stuck in traffic. I laughed. It was a dry laugh. He was right. My family wasn't coming. They weren't late. They just didn't care. At 6 o'clock I put the steaks back in the fridge. I made chili for Violet and a sandwich for myself. We ate at the kitchen counter. Perfectly quiet. Then my phone buzzed. It wasn't a text. It was Instagram. Zephyr was alive. She was in a luxury car dealership. Wearing sunglasses inside. A giant white Porsche with a red bow behind her. She shrieked, "Daddy said I needed a car for my brand launch." I saw my mom crying happy tears and my dad shaking hands with the salesman, puffing up like he was proud. But I knew they were spending money they didn't have. Probably a second mortgage on the house. Mom is buying groceries on credit. And all for Zephyr. I felt cold. Not angry, just cold. They weren't in traffic. They weren't helping. They were signing papers for a $60,000 car while I sat alone. My phone rang. I stared at it. I answered. "Hello, Kaylin," he said. I thought maybe he was calling to say sorry. "Dad, you missed the housewarming," I said flatly. "What? Oh yeah. Sorry. Time got away. We were busy negotiating a deal. Forget the barbecue. We need to talk business tomorrow. Bring your house papers, deed, mortgage info. We need to restructure things for Zephyr's insurance and credit. We'll explain." I blinked. My property documents? I thought about that night for hours. I sat in my quiet house, the soft gray walls glowing in the light from the kitchen. I thought about all the times I had been the strong wall in my family. I had always been there to hold everything together. I had never asked for much. A little recognition. Little thanks. And yet here I was. Alone, my backyard empty, and my family spending money on things I had to know about because they were too busy making Zephyr shine. The next morning I woke early. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with the deed and mortgage papers laid out in front of me. I read each line carefully. I had to make sure I understood everything. I am an engineer. I understand structures. I understand numbers. But this, family finances, that was different. Harder. Messy. When my phone buzzed again, I almost didn't answer. It was a message from Zephyr. Said, "Thanks for letting me use your house for the Instagram photos. It looked so good." I felt my stomach tighten. That's all she said. Nothing else. No thank you for the housewarming. No I love you. Just a quick text. I took a deep breath and reminded myself of Violet's words. Stop waiting for people who are chasing shiny things. Zephyr, the car, the brand launch, the applause from mom and dad. They were always reaching for something that sparkled. I had built something real. Something solid. Something of mine. I started thinking about all the little things I had done for my family over the years. Jump-starting dad's truck. Paying for mom's bills. Giving my time, my energy, my money. I was always the helper, the support, the strong wall. But that didn't mean I had to let them use me. Not anymore. I spent the rest of the morning cleaning the house, fixing small things that I hadn't had time for the night before. I polished the kitchen counters. I vacuumed the floors. I made the beds. Every little action reminded me that this house was mine. That I had worked for it. That I had earned it. By afternoon I had a plan. Tomorrow when Dad came over I would not just hand him the papers. I would show him that this house, this solid, strong house, was my boundary. My space. My rules. I wasn't just a helper. I wasn't just the wall holding everything up. I was a person with limits and they needed to see that. I sat on the back porch and watched the sun start to go down. The sky was painted pink and orange. I imagined the backyard full of laughter, my family around the grill, steaks sizzling, Violet smiling. But I also knew that this image was only in my mind. The real world was different. My family was distracted by shiny things, not by what was real. I remembered when I first bought the house. How proud I felt sitting in that empty living room. How I had imagined the backyard full of people who cared. And even though it hadn't happened, I still had that feeling inside me. That feeling was real. That feeling was mine. I took a deep breath and whispered to the empty yard, "This house is mine. I built it. I earned it. I will protect it." And for the first time I felt truly strong. Not just the wall that holds everything up. But Kaylin. Me. The next day when Dad arrived I was ready. I had all my papers laid out neatly. I was calm. I was firm. I was ready to say no if I had to. Because for the first time in my life, I realized that being strong didn't just mean holding everything together for everyone else. It also meant standing up for yourself. Be ready at 8 a.m. and make some coffee. Dad, I stopped complaining, Kaylin. This is a family plan, he said. 8 a.m. click. He hung up the phone. I stood in my kitchen. The house was very quiet, almost like it was pressing in on me. Family plan? Violet looked at me with a concerned face. What did he want? He wants my house, I said slowly, feeling like my stomach was filling with heavy concrete. It was a feeling I had never felt before. He wants to use my house so Zephyr can get a car. I couldn't sleep. I spent the whole night sitting in the dark living room. The shadows made the furniture look scary, like it was moving slowly. I listened to the house creak and settle. I could hear every small sound. The wind tapping against the windows, the roof groaning as it bent in the cold air, and the loose wood in the attic that I hadn't fixed yet. I even heard the refrigerator hum in a way that made me feel like it was alive. I didn't feel like I owned this house. I felt like I was just visiting, waiting for someone to tell me I had to leave. Sunday morning came with a loud, angry honk. It was 7:50 a.m. They were early. I looked out the window. A white Porsche was parked sideways in my driveway, blocking my truck. Zephyr got out wearing a bright pink tracksuit, holding her phone in front of her face, already filming the house like it was some kind of movie. Alaric's big truck pulled in behind her. He walked up the path carrying a thick leather folder that looked heavy and important. Mom followed, carrying a bag of bagels and smiling like she was coming for a fun family breakfast. I opened the door before they could even ring the bell. Surprise. Mom chirped, trying to hug me. I stepped back quickly. Her arms went through the air, hitting nothing. Coffee. Alaric barked, brushing past me into the living room. He didn't wipe his boots. He tracked mud across my floor, the floor I had worked on and sanded with my own hands for hours. Shoes. I yelled. He didn't even look at me. They crowded my house. It felt like they were invading, like little soldiers taking over a castle. Zephyr didn't even say hello. She walked straight past me, wrinkling her nose. Ugh, it smells like wood in here. And old people. It smells like oak, I said. Because it's real wood. Not fake stuff. Whatever, she said, wandering down the hall. Where's the second bedroom? I need to check the sunlight. Why? I asked, following her into the kitchen. Mom started putting bagels on my counter and moved my coffee maker aside. Oh honey, this kitchen is a little small, isn't it? Maybe we should take down this wall to make it bigger. It would open up the chi. Don't touch the wall, I said, my voice rising. It holds up the roof. If you knock it down, the roof will collapse. So dramatic, Mom sighed, smiling like she was joking. Alaric sat at the head of my table, and slammed the leather folder down like it weighed 100 pounds. Sit down, Kaylin. Let's sort this out so we can celebrate, he said. I didn't sit. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Celebrate what? The car you can't even pay for. Alaric's face turned red. Watch your tone. That car is important for your sister's career, he said, almost shouting. Her career. I repeated. The one that changes every 6 months. Last year she was a DJ. The year before that she made vegan dog treats. Now she's an influencer. I am a brand. Zephyr shouted from the hallway, holding her phone up like she was presenting a trophy. Brands need to look successful, Kaylin. You wouldn't understand, she said, flaring her nose. I work in dirt. I'm a structural engineer, I said, trying to sound calm. Same thing, she sniffed, waving her phone in the air. Alaric unzipped the folder and pulled out a piece of paper. It wasn't a napkin with notes on it. It was a real legal document. I could see the words at the top. Quitclaim deed. My blood ran cold. My hands started shaking. Here's the situation, Alaric said, tapping the paper with his thick finger. The car lease is expensive. The insurance costs a lot because of Zephyr's driving. She hit 1 mailbox. 3 mailboxes and a fire hydrant, Alaric corrected gently, like he was talking to a small child. He looked at me with serious eyes. To get the bank loan and insurance down, we need to show more assets. My credit is already maxed out with the mortgage on our house, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He pushed the paper toward me. We need you to add Zephyr to the title of this house, he said, just like it was as easy as giving someone salt. It would be a 50-50 split on paper. The bank will see she owns part of a house. Her loan will get easier. Everyone wins. I stared at the paper, my stomach twisting into knots. You want me to give her half my house? Mom smiled nervously. It doesn't really mean she owns it, Kaylin. It's just for the family. We would do it for you too. No, you wouldn't, I said. You stole my truck money when I was 16. Alaric snapped. Let it go. Look, Kaylin, you're single. You have this whole house and all this equity sitting here. It's selfish to keep it when your sister is trying to start her life. Keep it, I laughed, dark and dangerous. I built this. I paid for it. Every cent. And who raised you? Alaric's voice rose. Who put clothes on your back? Families help each other. We leverage each other's strengths. My strength is my credit score, I said, my voice shaking with anger. Her strength is spending money she doesn't have. Dad, hurry up, Zephyr whined, scrolling on her phone. The sunlight in the guest room is perfect for my video. Can we move Kaylin's desk out? It's ugly. I froze. Studio. My office. My workspace. I looked at Alaric, who avoided my eyes. Well, since she's going to be on the deed, it makes sense for her to use the room, he said almost casually. She can't pay rent on her apartment and the car note. She'll move into the second bedroom for a few months, just until her brand takes off. The Trojan horse. They weren't just after my house. They wanted her to move in. They wanted me to pay the mortgage while she parked her Porsche in my driveway, made videos, and turned my office into a studio. I felt a cold rage inside me. My voice shook. You missed my housewarming for a car. Now you're here to take the house. We're here to help you manage your assets, Alaric shouted, slamming his hand on the table. Sign the paper. Be a man. Take care of your sister. Something snapped inside me, but it wasn't loud. It was quiet, terrifying, like a cable breaking under too much tension. I went into work mode. When a building is unsafe, you don't argue with it. You leave. I walked over to the table. I picked up the quitclaim deed. I looked Alaric dead in the eyes. Then I tore the document in half. The sound of the ripping paper was so loud it echoed in the kitchen. Kaylin. Mom screamed. I tore it again and again until it was tiny pieces, confetti falling onto the bagels. Get out, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was final. Excuse me. Zephyr laughed like it was a joke. Get out of my house. I shouted. Take your car. Take your fake brand. Take your audacity and get off my property. Alaric stood up, his face purple. You listen to me, boy. I am your father. You don't talk to me like that. You owe us. I don't owe you a thing. I've been on my own since I was 16. I'm just making it official, I said. I opened the front door wide. Leave now or I will call the police and report trespassers. I will tow that Porsche before it hits the asphalt. Zephyr looked scared now. She grabbed her phone and ran out. Mom followed, crying loudly. How can you be so cruel? We're family. Alaric stopped in the doorway, full of hate. Goodbye, Dad, I said. I slammed the door, then threw the deadbolt and the latch. I stood there listening to their yelling in the driveway. The Porsche revved angrily. The truck spun its tires. And then, silence. I walked back into the kitchen, swept up the torn paper and bagels, and finally, for the first time in days, poured myself a cup of coffee. I was in my house, alone, and it felt like a victory. I thought kicking them out would end it. I was wrong. It was just the beginning of a war. By Monday morning, the attacks began. I woke up to 20 missed calls from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Aunt Isolde. Cousin Soren. People who didn't even know where I worked. All of them left voicemails calling me a monster. I checked Facebook. Big mistake. Zephyr had posted a storytime video. She didn't say my name, but everyone knew it was me. The title, Toxic Family Alert. She said I tried to ruin her success because I was jealous. She said I invited them over just to yell at them, then pulled the rug out to humiliate her. She cried carefully, making sure her mascara didn't smudge. He literally threw us out on the street, she said. I just wanted to bond with him. The comments were brutal. Cut him off. He's a narcissist. Don't let his bad energy dim your shine. Mom posted a picture of an empty bird nest. Caption: A mother's heart breaks when her children turn their backs on the nest. Prayers needed. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I didn't defend myself. I knew that engaging with them was like wrestling a pig in mud. You both get dirty but the pig likes it. Dad, I blocked them. All of them. Mom, Dad, Zephra, Aunt Isolde, Cousin Soren. I went to a digital ghost. Then I focused on the house. I treated it like a fortress. Monday night I installed smart locks on every door. No more keys that could be copied or borrowed. I checked every window, making sure every latch was tight. I walked through the rooms and imagined how each intruder would try to get in. The house felt stronger, safer. My sanctuary. My doors now only open with my fingerprint or a secret code that I change every single day. I wanted to make sure that nobody could get inside my house without my permission. I even put Ring cameras at the front door, the back door, and the driveway. That way I could see anyone who came close to my house. I also called the 3 big credit companies and asked them to freeze my credit so nobody could use my money or pretend to be me. I put a PIN code on everything I could think of. My phone, my computer, even my mailbox. Then I went to the county office. I asked them to put a warning on my house papers. This warning meant that if anyone tried to take my house with a fake signature, the office had to call me first and check my ID in person. The worker at the office looked at me and asked, "Family trouble?" I tried not to roll my eyes. "You have no idea," I said. On Wednesday the trouble came back. I was at work looking at a big drawing for a parking garage when my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't know. "Karen's mom. I'm using Aunt Isolde's phone because you blocked me. That's so childish. I left my favorite silk scarf at your place on Sunday. It was a gift from Grandma. I'm in the neighborhood. Just leave the spare key under the mat. I'll run in and get it. Love you." I stared at my phone. There was no scarf. I had cleaned the house from top to bottom. There was nothing left but bad feelings and old clutter. "Nice try," I whispered to myself. I didn't reply. But 10 minutes later, my Ring app sent a notification. Motion detected at the front door. I opened the live video and froze. I saw Mom's SUV and Zephra's Porsche parked in the driveway. They walked up to the porch. Mom was looking around nervously as if she was scared someone might see her. Zephra was carrying a big box, not a small one for a scarf, but a large box labeled studio lighting. They went straight for the doormat. Mom lifted it up. "Nothing," Mom said, clearly frustrated. "Try the code," Zephra suggested. "Try his birthday." Mom punched numbers into my keypad. Beep beep beep. Buzz. Red light. "Try 1-2-3-4, Zephra suggested as if it was some kind of magic code that could open my door. "He's an engineer, Zephra. He's not an idiot," Mom snapped, rolling her eyes. She tried another code. "Maybe the year he graduated?" Buzz. Zephra got angry and kicked the door. "This is ridiculous. I have a brand deal due on Friday. I need that room. We'll call a locksmith," Mom said, reaching for her phone. I pressed the talk button on my Ring app. My voice came out of the doorbell speaker, calm but serious. "Get away from my door." Mom jumped 3 feet in the air. Zephra dropped the box. "Kaylin." Mom squinted at the doorbell. "Open up. We just need to." "I am recording this," I said. "You are trespassing. If you are not off my property in 60 seconds, I will send this video to the police. And Zephra, if you kick my door again, I will sue you for damages." "You wouldn't dare." Zephra yelled. "Try me," I said, counting slowly in my head. 59. 58. Mom grabbed Zephra's arm. "Come on. He's crazy. He's selfish." Zephra flipped off the camera, clearly angry, and they dragged the big box back to the car. I watched them drive away. I saved the video. I named it evidence_1.mpp4. I knew Alaric, my dad. I knew that shame was the only thing that worked on him. I called my friend Tavian, a lawyer I went to college with. I sent him the Ring video and the text messages. I told him about the warning on my house papers. "Write it up," I said. On Friday, a courier delivered a letter to my parents' house. It was a formal cease and desist letter. It explained everything: the trespassing, the attempted fake house papers, and all the harassment. It said that if they tried to contact me or enter my property again, they would face a restraining order and a lawsuit. It was the nuclear option. The effect was immediate. The annoying phone calls stopped. The text stopped. Zephra even deleted her story video, probably because Tavian's letter mentioned defamation. The silence that followed wasn't heavy like the silence at a boring family barbecue. It was clean. It was the silence of a house that was finally safe, finally mine. 1 month later, my house was finally finished. I had bought a nice new rug for the living room, not a hand-me-down. The guest room was no longer a guest room. I had turned it into a home office and gym. My blueprints were spread out on a big oak desk. There was no ring light, no pink decorations, just my own space. I decided to try having friends over again. I sent a new invitation. Smaller this time. Pizza and beer on the porch. Saturday at 6. I invited Violet. I invited Tavian. And I invited Mr. Dimitri, my next-door neighbor, an old retired plumber who had once lent me his ladder when I was painting the eaves and said, "You're doing good work, kid." At 6 p.m. they all arrived. We didn't sit at the fancy dining table. We sat on the porch swing and the steps. Mr. Dimitri brought a housewarming gift, a small potted snake plant. "These things are impossible to kill," he said, handing it to me. "Roots take time, but once they hold, they hold." "Thanks, Mr. Dimitri," I said. We ate pizza and drank beer. We laughed about Tavian's dating life. Violet told stories about her wild youth in the 1960s. Nobody asked me for money. Nobody asked me to sign anything. Nobody made me feel like an appliance, like I was only there to do what they wanted. I sat on the swing, listening to the hum of conversation and the soft sounds of the neighborhood. I looked out at the lemon tree I had planted in the front yard. It was small, but it was growing. I pulled out my phone one last time. I went to Zephyr's Instagram. She had posted a photo of herself in the Porsche, but the location wasn't a fancy club. It was her friend's driveway. The caption read, "Sometimes you have to cut out toxic people to grow. #new beginnings, #hustle." I noticed a new comment from Alaric. "So proud of you, sweetie. We'll figure out the payment next month." I smiled. Not a bitter, angry smile. A free, happy smile. I tapped the button to unfollow her. Then I put the phone in my pocket and grabbed another slice of pizza. My house isn't empty. Safe. It's mine. And for the first time in 32 years, the foundation isn't cracking under the weight of someone else's expectations. I built my walls strong. I locked my doors. I planted my trees. I made my space. And now, when I sit on the porch swing and listen to my friends laugh, I know I am finally home. The pizza was gone. The beer was empty. Violet had gone back home. Tavian had left, promising to come by next week. Mr. Dimitri was still talking about gardening and giving advice about keeping plants alive. I looked around my porch at my rug, my desk, and my lemon tree. Everything felt calm, quiet, and just right. I realized then that saving myself from bankruptcy, from being forced into paying for my sister's influencer career, and from letting my parents control me wasn't mean. It was smart. I had protected my home, my money, and my happiness. And that was something no one could ever take away from me. For the first time, I could say that I was truly safe, truly free, and truly in charge of my own life. And that feeling was worth more than anything else in the world.